as a broker, as a CEO, team leader, all of the things you just alluded to, from a investing market standpoint. And there's so many times we talk about this topic, but it's always great to really get different perspective because we're all living in different geographic areas. So, I'm curious on your perspective right now with, interest rates, home prices, just the condition of the real estate market from your perspective. How is the market from your perspective, but also where do you see the market heading in the next 6 months to 1 year?
I don't know. But when I I always like to contextualize that question, right? And the appropriate answer is what is your time horizon on an investment, whether you're buying a single family house to flip, whether you're buying an apartment, right? If you hold something for 10 years, it's going to go up regardless. It's just a matter of your writing appreciation. But for the people that are looking to get in and out of the market in a 6 month period or a year long period, that's where you have to take a level of pause and really understand the underlying, fundamentals of the market, of your ultimate buyer, of whatever the investment criteria is. It is very much dependent on how long are you going to hold that asset for, and essentially what are you going to do to it to improve the value. If you're looking at a single family flip, for example, and it's an 800 square foot existing structure on a 7,000 square foot lot, and you have the ability to basically double the square footage of that single family, and it costs you 315 bucks a foot to add that additional 800 square feet off the back of the house, and you can turn around and sell that at a $700 per square foot basis. Like, that's really good margins, and that is you adding value. um, and maybe you can be less sensitive to the time parameters of or the disposition strategy because it's just plain math. But if you're buying, staying with the single family example, if you're buying something and not necessarily adding square footage, but you're redoing the kitchen and the bathroom, and that's your arbitrage, maybe interest rates can hike up because of the macroeconomic things that we are all dealing with. So maybe that takes a lot of buyers out of the ecosystem, right? So your buyer pool shrinks. So even though the kitchen and the bathroom is renovated, that in theory adds some value, you're just kind of dealing with less buyers, right? That are available for purchase. Same can be said about a multifamily, building, right? It
Absolutely.
depends on how are you repositioning that asset, how long are you holding that asset, what's the ultimate buyer for that asset after you're done with your fix up or your investment or however you're tinkering away. So it's a complex answer, but none of us really know where the market is going to be in the next 6 or 12 months because there's just so many things out of our hands. But as long as you're sort of diligent with your underwriting and the fundamentals of how you are evaluating a potential investment, that should really kind of dictate the ultimate outcome.
Abs- Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I think, there's a ton of, I would say, industry experts, right, that get onto platforms, whether it's a webinar, whether it's a podcast, and talk about, the market conditions and where they are forecasting ultimately that the market is heading. I agree with you as far as that investor, whether you're a starting investor or you're a seasoned investor, what I'm hearing is that you need to understand your lane. You need to understand what is your strategy. And at the end of the day, right now in this market condition, the numbers will be the numbers, and this is the numbers for this particular market. However, if the numbers make sense, no matter the market condition, whether it's the market of COVID years, the market of these years, the market of the recession in 08 or '07, at the end of the day, you need to understand the financials behind the deal that you are looking into. And if it makes sense, then move forward. If it doesn't make sense, then, maybe it's time to just hold and wait. So completely agree there.